So Brandon is not in studio today. He is at a very important function. We talked about the launching of the Joe Burrow Foundation a couple of days ago. What's that mean?
Let's keep details private here.
Private? I mean, you're all dressed up and you're at some function. People are wondering what the hell's going on. You're normally sitting back here in a T-shirt and a Red Bull or whatever it is you're drinking over there.
He doesn't look like no
or
ham
a
and egg.
Coors Light. I mean, what am I supposed to say?
I'm at a coffee shop for some meetings. Let's just go with that.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Well, good luck on them. Unlike with your picks this coming week, I'm not wishing you luck there. Are you ready to go, Mr. Seho?
I'm so ready. People at this coffee shop probably have no idea what I'm talking about, but that's fine.
That's okay. Casey, are you ready?
I am as ready as I'll ever be.
And Paul, are you going to be basically critiquing our picks as we move along? Would you be kind enough to do so since you have your own gambling show here on Chatterbox Sports? Not too picky.
I would love to. Nothing would make me happier. Let's rock and roll, fellas.
All right, let's rock and roll. We
All right.
tee it up on the college front. Games tomorrow. We just heard from Dan Horde about the UC Bearcats, winners of 4 in a row, now ranked number 24 in the country. They should be higher than that when you look at the teams ahead of them. But South Florida comes in 1-4. We talked about their out-of-conference schedule. They played against Florida, nearly pulled off the upset. They played against BYU. So, look, coming to Cincinnati is not going to be some huge, overwhelming deal at sold-out Nippert Stadium tomorrow afternoon at 2:30 kick. I've changed my mind.
Okay.
After doing a little more research, I have shifted gears to the South Florida Bulls at 27.5. That's too big of a number for me. Way too big of a number. I would not be surprised if UC covered, but I'm, for the first time all year long, not betting on them covering. Casey?
Yeah, I am actually picking USF as well. I just think that the spread is too much. And it was really close last year, 45-28. I mean, they put up some points on them, but Florida's just been able to stick in there with some of those teams this year. So I'm picking USF.
We're getting the double thumbs down naturally for the UC Bearcat alum, Brandon Seho.
I almost picked South Florida here, but I couldn't do it. The Bearcat Bash is happening tomorrow on Short Vine. The crowd's going to be crazy because of Chatterbox Sports. Me and Tony Pike are hosting it. A bunch of great guests are coming in, some Bearcat legends. UC is going to crush the Bulls by 27.5 and then some.
We've been talking a lot about the Bash. I'm told, Brandon, and by the way, all legal pursuers in this whole thing about the name can contact Brandon Seho. That was not Casey. That was not Paul. That was not me. It's the Bash that starts tomorrow on Short Vine. You and Tony Pike and company will be there.
Okay. Some Coors Lights.
Yes, indeed. And now we move on to the Ohio State University Buckeyes. They are favored at East Lansing, Michigan. Think back to 1 year ago, and my, how times have changed. I was in Columbus last year when Michigan State came in ranked 4th or 5th in the country, undefeated. Ohio State was undefeated, and Ohio State wins it. I mean, it was just stupid, 52-7 or something. It was just unbelievable what a rout it was. And my, oh my, how fortunes have changed for Michigan State. They give Mel Tucker this enormous contract, which for the life of me, I don't get it. I think he did a great job last year. They won their bowl game. They won 11 games. But you don't have to give a guy that kind of contract in just his third season and his first good year. But they did. And they've lost 3 in a row. They're not playing well. Spread's 27. Ohio State's rolling. I think this is Buckeyes in a landslide. They cover the 27 easy.
Yeah, and I would have to agree with you as well, Tom. That Michigan State is struggling quite a bit. They've lost 3 in a row, and I'm just looking here. I mean, they lost to Minnesota 34-7.
Yeah, Minnesota's good though.
Yeah, and so is OSU. So that just makes the minus 27 that much more reasonable to me. Yeah. So.
And you're rowing on that same boat?
Rowing the boat for Minnesota, who beat Michigan State. Ohio State's going to win by like 40.
Okay.
Yeah, tough thing about this one is the total's at 65. And you look back at last year's game, it was 56-7. That doesn't even get you there at 63. It was 49-0 at halftime.
I know. They called off the Dogs. I was
Yeah.
there. They could have scored 80 in that game.
All right, let's rock and roll. SC and Kentucky.
Okay. I think Kentucky should be undefeated. I think anybody who watched that game against Ole Miss last weekend would come away and say that Kentucky was the better team. But the Wildcats did not win the game. They fumbled twice inside the red zone late in the fourth quarter, and they lose for the first time this year. 6.5. I'm a little surprised that line is not a little higher. So the wise guys know something, but I'm taking UK in Lexington.
Well, the weird thing about this one is that the game opened at 11.5, and it's come all the way down underneath the touchdown, which makes me a little nervous, especially with yesterday. The money in this game yesterday was severely lopsided along with the bets in this game. So right now, 71% of the money is on South Carolina at 6.5, but only 35% of the bets are on South Carolina.
So what's that mean?
So that means if you think how much money compared to fewer bets, that means the big money is on South Carolina
Gotcha.
in this game. And, yeah, I mean, I like UK under a touchdown, but I'm not making picks here. So, Tom, who do you have?
I got Kentucky.
All right, Casey.
Yeah, I also have Kentucky on this one. I think they were clearly the better team last week against Ole Miss. And I did pick them to cover the spread, I'm pretty sure. So I've been on UK for a while now. They have not let me down. So 6.5, I like that. It's not this magic number, that is the magic number. Excuse me, 6.5. So I like UK in this one.
Brandon?
I think the Gamecocks going to keep it tight, going to keep it close. UK might still win, but they will not cover.
Okay.
Wow.
Go Gamecocks.
Okay.
To cover.
All right. I got you. Fair enough. Mississippi State
getting
comes
some
to
important
UK
text?
next weekend. That's another good game. All right. The Ohio University. It's homecoming. I would have been there tomorrow morning. But our daughter's on fall break from college, so I'm right here on the home front, which I'd rather, of course, be. So Bobcats favored by 11 over Akron. This is a no-brainer. The Ohio University covers at 11. Casey?
Yeah. Every time I pick Ohio, I end up regretting it later. But you know what? I'm picking them again this week. Minus 11. Why not? Let's try it one more time.
All right.
Tom, I want to know what it would take for you to not bet on OU. Is there anything?
I've already said it'll never happen.
Okay. All right. No, I respect that. I'm just wondering if there is anything, if we're working with a fourth-string quarterback and like.
Nope, never going to do it. And
okay.
that's why I say, really, at the end of the day, Casey and Brandon, one of the reasons they are slightly ahead of me in the overall numbers is because on a pretty regular basis, I'm the only one picking Ohio University. And look, they've not played well to start this season. They play a great out-of-conference schedule, and it's not been a great year, although, their record's 2-3. Could be worse. So, Brandon, who are you picking in this one?
Say it with me, Tom. OU, oh yeah.
OU, oh yeah, indeed. Homecoming weekend in A-Town.
That's what they say there, right?
That is going to be, if they can even get that far in the alphabet. And I went there,
Go
so I can say that. Okay. Couple of other games outside of our region. I just think the whole Nick Saban, Jimbo Fisher thing has some interesting dynamics to it for sure, even though they used to work together. Jimbo Fisher coached under Nick Saban. You throw in the quarterback thing now, and Paul, as you pointed out, the Texas A&M starting quarterback, Max Johnson, it looks like he's not going to play with a hand injury. Now, when they went into camp, they had 2 or 3 guys who were vying for the starting job. So I know they probably feel as though the other guys are capable. The wild card in this whole thing, and it's a game-time decision, is Bryce Young, the reigning Heisman Trophy winner for Alabama, who was injured his shoulder in the game last week. It's 24. It's in Alabama. Roll Tide, roll.
So I'm gonna put my friend Paul here on the spot. I am gonna change my pick.
He sees my pick and changes it. He does this every week, at least once, Tom. At least once.
Never. And it's mainly just because of the whole Bryce Young thing being out, and I just don't know. Like, when you don't know, you don't know, and this might come back to bite me in the butt. Alabama's clearly the better team, but I gotta go and with what my gut's telling me, and right now Texas A&M makes sense. So
here's the thing, though: Jalen Milroe didn't look terrible last week. He was serviceable. Did you see that run he had for a touchdown? Yeah, the backup for Alabama.
Well, I mean it's Alabama.
It's Alabama. They just churn him out.
Come on, it's
Alabama. Yeah.
I mean,
but I'm just saying it wasn't
stiff in there.
Yeah, it wasn't like they threw him in. You know, I mean, I don't want to say it's like a Cardale Jones situation where you throw in and he wins the national championship, but I mean, he looked good in very limited snaps that we saw him. All right, go ahead, Brandon.
Does that mean you're going with A&M?
Going with the Aggies. I think
cannot believe you guys are going with A&M.
24 is a lot. I know it's Alabama. The Bryce Young trying to figure out if he's going to play or not. I think he plays. Still, the Jimbo Fisher drama with the NIL money and all that, and him and Saban going back and forth. The game is in Tuscaloosa. I don't know if you've been there, Tom. It's a good environment. It's not great. Ohio State and LSU are louder. I think A&M is going to at least cover. They might lose by 23, but at least they'll lose by 23.
This line hasn't really moved much at all. It opened at 23.5. It's now up to like 24, so it's only moved about a half a point. 80% of the public, though, of the money is on Alabama.
Look, here's the thing. I liken this, and look, it's the greatest college coach of all time, greatest pro coach of all time in this analogy. I am not a gambler, but in situations like this, and when our Fox crew doing NFL games, we'd all pick games and have a running thing the whole year long just to have some fun with the spread. There are two teams outside of Ohio University, which you documented, but there are two teams that I will never, under any circumstances, bet against. And that is Nick Saban as head coach of Alabama and when Tom Brady was playing for Bill Belichick in New England. Will not do it. I cannot believe you two stiffs are picking against Alabama this weekend.
Just remember who's leading the standings, not you.
That's right now. It's a temporary thing.
This could be a big week for you, Tom.
It could.
This has potential to be a big
already.
week.
I told you about, and we had who was it that liked my, sort of description?
Oh yeah, I think that was Mars on YouTube.
Mars
loved
Brandon, but like the buffalo in the plains. Did you hear all this?
Yeah. I logged on to hear your rant, whatever the hell that was.
That was a big league rant.
I like
big
it.
leaguer.
All right.
There's no doubt. Okay,
I'm
who's next?
Right now in this place.
This is a game we added. We weren't going to do this, but because it does have some local flavor to it, Tennessee, they've got a lot of alums sprinkled in and around greater Cincinnati. Undefeated, ranked 8th in the country. Brian Kelly lost their first game. We talked about it a little while ago. They've won 4 in a row his first year at LSU. The spread is Tennessee -3. Did I ever pick this game?
You're going to pick it live.
I'm going to pick it live. I'm taking the Volunteers.
Good choice.
That's what I had down, assuming you would pick it. I like the pick, Tom.
Thank you.
Yep. And I also am going with Tennessee as well. The Volunteers, LSU really hasn't played anybody except for Mississippi State, as far as I can see.
Tell you what, LSU 4-1. They weren't thinking that down there this year. Brian Kelly, like him or hate him, guy's one of the top 5 coaches in college football, might be top 3. Brandon?
Go Tigers. That's not
I knew that was
Brian Kelly. That is, well, listen, I just think Tennessee, I'm still not all the way in on them.
Yeah.
They got a couple big wins this year, but we've seen Tennessee, what they've been the last 10 or 15 years. I don't think LSU's that good, but I've been to Death Valley. I covered them for 2 years. I think this is a game where LSU can squeak by with a win or at least lose on a field goal, which would be a push.
If this was a night game, I would go with LSU because you know the scene down there in the Bayou. Night games, but noon kickoff, no.
Hey, they'll be up drinking. I promise you that.
This is the game of the weekend. and I made the comment earlier, if somebody, Paul, you're doing a gambling show, if someone would have come to you in August and they'd have said, hey, look, when we get around to October the 8th, 5 weeks, 6 weeks into the college football season, the biggest and best game is going to be TCU at Kansas. Now, TCU has had a lot of good football teams through the years under Gary Patterson. He was there for over 20 years. They fired him last year. They bring in Sonny Dykes from SMU. They got the number 2 offense in the country. And then there's Kansas. Kansas! Bill Self doesn't coach this team.
Jayhawk.
I mean, and TCU at Kansas College Game Day on ESPN is going to Lawrence, Kansas for a football game tomorrow. Unbelievable. But TCU on the road is a 6.5-point favorite. I say go Horned Frogs. TCU in a rout in this game tomorrow. Thoughts? Casey?
I'm going with TCU as well. I've never been a big believer of Kansas's football team or program to begin with.
I don't think in your defense, Casey, I don't think anybody in America has been for the last 15 years.
Yeah, so that's really my only reason. I think TCU is a better program, but we'll see.
Here's my thing, Brandon, before you make your pick. Kansas this year, here's their schedule. Tennessee Tech, can't count that. West Virginia, all right, I'll give it to you. Not bad. Houston, Dana Holgorsen, that's not a – no.
They were supposed to win the American Conference, and they didn't.
Oh, no, but they're terrible. Duke, terrible. Iowa State, okay, it's a Big 12 win, but not a good team. I think this Kansas team is a little overvalued. It is at home, and I'm not taking anything away from what Kansas has done. They deserve to be ranked. I'm not in any way discrediting anything that they have done, but I think that the public is overvaluing the Kansas momentum a little bit. What scares me about the bets in this game is that everybody is on TCU.
Yeah.
The public, everybody is on TCU, as am I, as is Casey, as is Thom. Hey, Brandon, are you going to make it 3 in a row?
The old 3 in a row.
Yeah, these are tired when we all agree.
Get stuff done. Well, I tried to mix it up, and then Casey started mimicking my picks on some of them, so, you know.
Yeah, it was funny. In the commercial break before we started these picks, Casey's going on and on about how, and Paul are saying, that Brandon's stepping out of the box on some of these picks. And now once we actually get to them on the air, here Casey is changing in mid-sentence.
I mean, I changed it one time to the Aggies. I think that's the only one I changed.
I know, but there's always one. There's one a week. There's one a week.
No, you changed South Florida. You changed UC too. So that's 2 of our 6 games.
Okay, well,
I think Kansas deserves credit for being 5-0 and for their preseason win total was at 2.5. I think that they deserve credit for getting to this point and even winning games in the first place. For a Kansas program that hasn't won games in a decade and a half, but I think that they are getting a little too much pub right now. But if they win this game or at least cover in this game, if they keep it close, if they keep it under a touchdown, then you might start to see some legitimacy because TCU is legitimately
Well,
good.
the thing I find interesting about and look, every website, they have their own, sort of playoff predictors and playoff indicators and all that kind of thing. And then you have the rankings, the coaches poll, the AP poll. I found it so interesting this week that TCU, who has not been ranked by anybody anywhere all year long until they beat Oklahoma last week. Now I think they're number 17, something like that, 17, 15. But in this playoff predictor, and I don't know if it was ESPN or somewhere else, maybe The Athletic, they are all the way up to number 6. I mean, that's a shocker. When this season began, TCU was picked 7th in the Big 12, and Kansas was picked 10th. And here they are, both undefeated.
You talk about it being a Homer show. Let's just remember, where does your daughter go to college at?
She goes to school at TCU.
Okay, just making sure.
But, I follow them now more. And, I followed them a little bit before because they were a program worth following. And then things fell apart. Legendary coach. They have a statue of the guy, and they fired him in the middle of the year.
All right, NFL.
Here we go. NFL, we start with the Chargers at 2-2. The Brownies at 2-2 along the lakefront. Be a little chill in the air on Sunday for the first time this year. Chargers at -2.5. And once again, it's like me just running into this cement wall here. I continue to roll the dice with the Brownies. I hit it so hard it made the facial hair grow. I'm going with the Brownies.
Well, I'm going with the Chargers, begrudgingly, because I just don't. Yeah, it is a big word.
It is big, too big for this show.
Too big. I went above my ham and egg or pay status there. I just think the Chargers have a better team than the Browns. The Browns are the Browns. And they, again, have a ton of people on the injured list right now, a bunch of questionables, and I just don't like that necessarily. And, I mean, 2.5, that's a good spot. You know, I think the game will probably come down to a field goal. It was last year. It was like 45-48, if I'm not mistaken. It won't be like that, of course, but it's going to be close. Probably 20-23.
I hate saying this because, as you guys know, I had Joe Thomas. He's coming up as one of my first guests on the podcast. Browns legend. Love the guy. And he showed Cincinnati a lot of love, saying he feels like the Bengals fan base is comparable, so loyal for all those losing seasons, wants to see them win. But like you said, Casey, I think the Browns are always going to be the Browns. Chargers on this one.
Okay. We move on to, as we call them, not the men of steel, we call them the men of aluminum. They make a lot of aluminum in Pittsburgh.
They do.
That they do, Tom.
They didn't used to make it down around the football complex, but they are now. Steelers -14 at Buffalo. I'm taking
That's a big number.
Buffalo.
Yeah, I think we all feel the same way about this game. They're going to be starting their rookie quarterback Pickett.
Yep.
Steelers are banged up, hurt, have a terrible offense. Is just too much in Buffalo's favor. I'm taking Buffalo.
Casey?
All Bills.
Brandon?
Oh, I'm Brandon. I know you're a big timer, so you can't remember our names, but this is Brandon here. Paul's in my seat in case he's
I
over there
appreciate you
producing.
guys introducing yourselves to me every time I come in here in Hamilton, Ohio in the morning. Thank you for that.
Yeah, I stop by UDF, pick up your coffee for you. I do your dry cleaning because you leave your shirts at the studio. I really am just your personal assistant. I'm lucky to be with you. I'm picking the Bills, by the way.
The Bills, okay. All right, what's up next? Giants v. Packers. Giants, another team, Paul. I mean, nobody in a million years thinks after 4 weeks they're 3-1. It started with that gutsy call on a 4th down going for the win in week 1 at Tennessee. Their only loss coming to the Dallas Cowboys. 3-1, but they're at Lambeau Field. Why is this game only an 8-point spread? Because of the offensive woes by
London.
Green Bay?
It's across the pond.
This is a London game.
Oh, it is. I'm
9:30 in the
Thank
morning.
you. I did not know that. All right, it's in London.
Get your
Is
cup
that
of tea.
why?
I mean, it's either that or they just think that the game is going to be low scoring, in my opinion.
Well, look, I said it earlier. Aaron Rodgers came out point blank and it just said, this is not sustainable. We're 3-1. I got to be better. This quoting him. This offense has to be better because the defense is playing their tails off, and we are just not getting it done. I'm still going with a Pack.
Yeah, and I'm not going to bet against Aaron Rodgers in this game. I'm going with the Pack too. Don't trust the Giants. The only good player they got is Saquon. And I think the Packers start to figure it out on offense. They just got to if they want to be better. So
I don't know. I really don't know. Brandon?
I really wanted to pick the Giants here. I can't do it. We saw what the Packers were doing. Like Aaron Rodgers said, can't win sustainably with that type of offensive performance. But I think the line's closer than we think because it's in London. Tom, I don't know if you've done games over there.
I have.
But no, it's the way those games work. I think NFL players really don't like it. I was there for the Bengals Rams game last time. They fly over a day and a half before. Your sleep schedule's all messed up. I think it's going to be tight because of that, but I think in the end, Green Bay covers.
check for me here, fellas, if you don't mind. I saw where the game in London last week was played
Oh, it was wild.
in a stadium other than Wembley. Now, I've been over there and done a
Tottenham
number of
Hotspurs.
games over there. Yeah. Where is that game this week?
It's at the Tottenham Hotspur
So
Stadium.
it's going to be a little bit different ball game. That stadium is not nearly as big, I don't think, as Wembley. Wembley's, I mean, it's insane.
It's
how big
incredible.
it is. Yeah. And so it's a little bit different atmosphere in a quote-unquote soccer stadium, although
Football.
decent size, but yes, football.
But it is an NFL ready. Have you seen how they have prepared this stadium? It's an NFL ready stadium.
Well, I mean,
yeah.
and there are a lot of people who want to see a team over there.
Yeah. That's, I think, the idea behind them playing these.
I mean, there's been a lot of talk about that, and I happen to be a part of a conference, symposium, whatever you want to call it, on this very topic. Roger Gazelle was there and just talking about the challenges of having a team, which the NFL desperately wants, having a team in London. The scheduling challenges, as you can imagine, it's really interesting because they've studied all the different ways you could do it. Come here for 2 weeks, you play home for 2 weeks, on and on and on and on.
Do you think it's realistic? Do you think it ever happens?
You know what? I don't. It's not to say that I don't think that's not saying it won't happen, but I think at the end, look, you know what? I'm going to stop there because it's just like Thursday night. The players and the coaches, they bitch and moan about playing on a Thursday night after playing on a Sunday, right? But at the end of the day, when Amazon Prime walks in the door and they say, we're giving you billions of dollars, which that money is shared with the players say, we'll take it. When there's talk about getting players not wanting a 17th game in a schedule, well, again, money talks, the rest of it walks. So if they get a franchise in London, the rights fees alone would be billions of dollars, and the TV money generated now in England and in and around London, I think the players probably say it's fine. We'll do it. We'll travel over there, and the rest of it goes to the Wolves. All right, we're getting off pace. Where are we?
2 more.
Cowboys v Rams. To me, the Rams are at a tipping point right now in their season, even though it's only the 5th week. Their offensive line lost a lot from last year, including Andrew Whitworth. Matthew Stafford looked like he was back in Detroit last week. He's throwing picks. He's getting killed. He got sacked 7 times by the 49ers. I think the Cowboys cover this 5.5. Casey?
I agree with you, Tom. I think they cover. I actually think they win, honestly.
Ooh.
That's my bold
That's
prediction.
That's a Paul term.
Yeah.
Sprinkle
Give
it
that
in.
little sprinkle.
Money line.
Sprinkle it in there. Yeah, that defense is kind of crazy, and we kind of saw what happened when they faced a really good defense against the 49ers. So
This might be a regression to the mean for Cooper Rush, though.
Might be.
Yeah.
But they keep saying that every week he started.
Yeah. I know what you're saying. I think that this might be I think that this might be the regression to the mean week.
Okay.
Just the way the defense and having to handle everything, but Matt Stafford sure hasn't looked good.
Well, their offensive line looks terrible, just terrible. And we've seen here in Cincinnati when the quarterback's getting killed, you have a hard time winning games.
yeah,
All right, Brandon. So, Casey, you're going with Dallas.
yep.
I think LA Rams. I'm taking them to cover. Let's do. I think this is the Dallas quarterback, Cooper Rush. This isn't going to be his game, and LA's got to bounce back.
Okay, you're right about that for LA because it does not look like a reigning Super Bowl championship team. Even their defense has not looked great.
Hear those Bengals growling, mean and angry.
Here they come.
Last time you clowns did this, they got their tails kicked.
Well, it's the immovable object, unstoppable force thing with your beard.
See, that's that Xavier University education.
Hey,
Talking above the rest of this crowd.
I'm just saying.
All right, Bengalis are a 3-point dog in Baltimore. I am taking, without even blinking, I am taking Cincinnati to cover that.
I am also taking Cincinnati to cover. Everyone knows from the show that I have them winning. So
Oh, I thought you had the Ravens winning.
No, he said it's a walk in the park for the Bengals.
Yeah, he's got
This
He
whole
said
time,
that
I
multiple
thought
times.
you've been telling me for 2
Brandon can
days.
confirm that. Casey has said all week it's a walk in the park.
I've not said
He
that,
thinks the
though.
Bengals are going to win by 45
I'm messing around,
points
Casey.
I know he
on Monday
does.
Night Football. I'm taking the Bengals too. Like I said, that Madden Wednesdays I do, where it's
Yeah.
been pretty spot on. Bengals go down early in the first half. Burrow struggles a little bit like he has in these first few games. Comes back. They win by 7. That would obviously cover the spread here. I'm picking the Bengals to win.
And Paul, what are your thoughts?
I'm
Closing on this game. Are you sprinkling money line action on the Bengals or no?
I'm already locked in on my weekend action. Like I said, I got a wedding this weekend, so I don't have any bets in for Saturday. But Sunday, I'm already in. Bengals, I'm taking the money line. I'm taking them straight up.
Straight up.
Straight up. Vegas can keep the points on this one. I do think that this is –
Where's the money going on this game?
yeah, good question. I was just actually looking at that. The Ravens right now are getting 82% of the money.
You have got to be
82%
kidding me.
and 60% of the bets. So everything right now is on the Ravens. This game opened at 3.5. It's pretty much stayed at 3.5. It's at 3 right now, which I like even better. If you look at the kickers in this game, Justin Tucker, Evan McPherson, if it comes down to a field goal and you have the Bengals, you're pushing on that at 3. I love the Bengals in this spot. The only thing you don't like is that it's on the road. Baltimore plays very well at home in prime time. But I'm already in on the Bengals.
Tell you the one thing you just mentioned, and I failed to ask Dan Hort about this. Evan McPherson did not practice a couple of days this week. He's got a groin injury. Now, they say after being named the AFC Special Teams Player of the Week last week. I don't know how severe it is. They're saying he's going to kick and he's going to play, so, that's great. But that might be something to file away because, as you point out, these are 2 of the top 3-4 kickers in the NFL. I still believe the kid in Pittsburgh is still right there with anybody. But that could be a huge factor in this game. All right, fellas. Brandon, have a great rest of your day. Good luck with the bash tomorrow. Are you allowed to host and drink beer at the same time?
Yes, I've already went over that with our.
That's in your contract?
Our boss. Yeah. I wrote that in the contract. Unlimited, well, not unlimited. A reasonable amount of Coors Lights may be had while hosting tailgate events. We did it with the Bengals. I'll be doing it with the Bash near UC. We're going to have a good time. It's going to be fun. And I will help clean up afterwards. Might be, a little off balance, but we'll figure it out. I'm a team player.
Absolutely. Okay. Okay. So there you have it.